by the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya party leader Raila Odinga. Already President William Ruto has tasked his Kenya Kwanza leadership in parliament to prioritize the formation of a team and a strategy to work on the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission debacle, as was the first step after both the head of state and Odinga climbed down from their hard stances. KTN's political affairs reporter Emmanuel Tor with the details of the day one of the 7-day ceasefire ultimatum by the president and the former premier.
This matter can be handled in parliament by a bipartisan parliamentary process.
We stand down our demonstrations for Monday, that is tomorrow, April 3rd, 2023.
Barely hours after both President William Ruto and Azimio leader Raila Odinga struck a ceasefire deal that ended the 2-week nationwide demonstrations, the head of state has embarked on a race against time to fulfill the promises contained in the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya counter offer, which accepted the olive branch from the ruling party. The president Monday meeting the parliamentary leadership of both houses to consider the proposal for a bipartisan approach to addressing the matters raised by the opposition. The president directing the leaders to treat the matters with utmost priority. The head of state also tasked the leaders to come up with a formula to nominate members from both political divides to an ad hoc committee to fast-track the issues.
The bipartisan approach, in my view, would include probably an ad hoc committee, since there is no standing committee that would look at many of the issues that have been proposed.
The president remaining confident that the issues would be conclusively handled by Parliament in order to allow focus on economic transformation program. The committee is expected to have 2 co-chairs and an equal number of members from both the ruling party and the opposition party. Azimio is also said to be in high-level consultations to identify members to the committee.
We agree that a balanced parliamentary process, co-chaired by both sides and backed by experts from outside, should proceed.
It will be up to the committee to decide how do we address issue number 1, how do we address issue number 2. But I think the most important thing is what I did hear the president say, that we must all act in line with the constitution and the laws that are there.
In 2016, a joint select committee on matters related to IBC was chaired by the then Senators James Orengo of Siaya and Kiraitu Murungi of Meru, with 14 members drawn from both parties. However, Kenya Kwanza has maintained that the ongoing truce should not be confused with a handshake.
There is nothing touching on a handshake. The bipartisan approach is an approach that looks at the interest of the country over and above the partisan interest.
This comes as the Director of Public Prosecutions, Nordin Haji, dropped charges against 6 Azimio MPs, among them National Assembly Majority Leader Opiyo Wandayi and his Senate counterpart Stuart Madzayo. The opposition leader had asked the president to unconditionally release those arrested during the demonstrations as a sign of goodwill for standing down. The developments are expected to jolt the IBC selection panel, which has already advanced with the selection process, with at least 920 people applying to replace the 6 IBC commissioners and 25 throwing their hats in the ring for the electoral body's chairmanship. The current bipartisan talks will be akin to the 1997 Interparliamentary Parties Group that gave way to the constitutional and statute law amendments, and the process saw the first handshake between the late President Daniel Moi and Raila Odinga. Emmanuel Tor, KTN News, Nairobi.
The Director of Public Prosecution, Nordin Haji, has withdrawn a case against 6 Azimio leaders who were charged with participating in unlawful demonstrations and malicious property damage. This morning, we interrogate the DPP's move. Is it a political move or a reconciliatory move geared towards quelling street unrest? Elvis Kosgei with more.
My brother Raila Odinga